now we are live. Welcome to this panel with Live at Heart Southeast, the first and one to be in collaboration with Live at Heart Örebro. I myself am here with some from the team Nordic Music Tech, and it's really an honor for me today to be with three amazing people. One violin and guitar maker, bass and double bass playing music tech founder, multi-award winning one as well, and a TEDx speaker. Another, a sailing lover and skiing industrial engineer turned pitch coach extraordinaire to over 500 companies, and coincidentally, a TEDx coach and moderator. And last but not least, an ABBA singing winner, journalist, presenter, and content marketing specialist, who also happens to be a fantastic colleague of mine. Now, these fantastic three people will let you know who's who. Let's start with you, Jenny Lindblad.
I'm the skier and also a pitch coach. So I run my own company, ELIZA Communication, where I work as a speaker coach with corporations like Ericsson, Telia, but mostly startups, which I love because then I have the possibility to always be on the edge and seeing what's happening next, which I love. I'm also a jury member sometimes, and I really look forward to Midem and being their jury member as well for next event. Other than that, I just started to invest myself in startups, so that's also awesome. So I love this whole industry, and I really look forward to being here today.
Thanks for being here with us. And over to you, Michele. Which one is you?
Well, Michele Benincaso, founder and director at ELK. As you mentioned before, starting playing around with musical instrument really early. And then I realized that I wanted to build the instrument, move to Cremona, get my master's degrees in violin making at the Stradivari School. But still, I wanted to bring it one step further, and love with technology, musical instrument. I ended up to found ELK, which is a music tech company, and we work with what come next in music technology. That's
fantastic. And last and definitely not least, Grace McCallum. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I am the ABBA singing journalist and Sarah's co-founder at Nordic Music Tech. I am originally from Australia, if you can't tell by the accent. And I moved to Sweden in 2015 and was looking at creating a career in the music industry, and happened upon Sara, and we decided to create Nordic Music Tech together. And most recently, we've released the Nordic Music Tech list just last year, and it's a constantly updated list of music tech companies. But yeah, I'm just super passionate about the music tech space, and have worked with like a lot of music tech companies and freelanced with them. And most recently, I'm working with Reason Studios in Stockholm.
That's fantastic. Welcome, and welcome all of you. And this panel, and which has become a roundtable discussion, is about future, and the topic of the panel and the name of the panel and roundtable is Back to the Future. And none of course, think we're going back to anything. We all only see ourselves as going forward. I just thought I'd jump back to you, Grace, because as I myself didn't present Nordic Music Tech and the community out of there, which many people know as Stockholm Music City from a global perspective, maybe just tell everyone a little more about that, where, of course, Jenny and Michele are on the advisory board as very valued members.
Yeah, so we founded Stockholm Music City and Nordic Music Tech in 2016. And we originally started it as a series of meetups for people in the music tech industries. We saw in Stockholm that there was a lot of success in the area, but the communities weren't coming together. The music industry and the tech industry were still very separate areas. So we wanted to bring them together in the form of a community where people could collaborate and get to know each other and see the magic happen. So we had a series of meetups. They proved really popular, and then we decided that we would launch a physical space called Stockholm Music House, and we had a co-working space where Michele was one of the members, and a lot of cool stuff happened there. And then we've just really continued building the community. Decided we didn't need the four walls because we have so many different places to go, and the community is so strong now that we've just continued to build that. So we do online meetups and lobbying and online events. So yeah, that's us.
Yeah, now we're in every week on the ever-growing Clubhouse, and of course, as you were mentioning there, and as Jenny knows, who actually was on founder with the whole idea, and seeing it much more from a global perspective and your background. And it was fantastic to start there. And that was before we even knew you, Grace. And it was fantastic to have you land in Sweden from Australia, really bringing the true globe. There aren't any boundaries or walls. We're all on this same island, right, Jenny?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just so glad that you are a huge part and the founder of Nordic Music Tech, Grace.
Thanks, Jenny.
And it wouldn't have started without Jenny and Anna, who isn't with us today. Anna Grassotti, very important founding member. And Michele, we see you as one as well, since you were our first company in the physical, moving physically into the mentioned music house. And we loved following your journey from day one with My Music Labs. I won't forget ever meeting you the first time at SUP 46 when they said, "Oh, I think maybe you should look at this. It's some kind of guitar." And then a few minutes with you all, I was blown away. And when was that? That was
that now was maybe I think 4 years ago, at least 4 years ago. And and for us, I mean, it was the whole experience that Stockholm Music Place. It was great because it was the first time we had our own office. As many startup story, it was the basement, my basement, back at the beginning, and weekend and nights there, and then it became co-working. But then when we were there, we kind of felt that it was the first time that we felt that we had our own space. At the same time, we were part of something bigger. So it's a great memory regarding the physical space, and then great present about everything you guys are doing.
And it's a community, and as we all know, it's far beyond us. It's this whole what I hear constantly when they are discussing, not only on Clubhouse but everywhere today, is, as we all know, that Sweden is really known for, and the whole every region in the country, for how we are unique, and that we don't see each other as as any kind of competition. It's how can we collaborate, and how can we help each other, and have this whole, not just a paying forward mentality, but that one wants to see things happen together. And I think it's this unique sense of we are equal and a team. And of course, we just want to make things happen it can be quite a modest way, as long as things happen. And today, this morning, when announcing for the week, I should then say for the whole month of May, that we're not even into half the year, and we are already well onto the 7th unicorn new one out of Sweden in the tech community. And as all of us in this panel today know how important the whole startup community is, out of Stockholm very much so, but across the country and from and out into the world. And it's fun to hear your experiences from all of you on this and how it's led you into what you do. Maybe Jenny, you can follow on to that. Pitch queen extraordinaire.
I think that we can cut there because I don't know what you're aiming for, Sara. Sorry.
No problem. It's more the
maybe I didn't understand the question.
No, it's not a question. We're discussing. So just we can cut here and carry on, but it's more from a discussion format from now on. So just pitch in whenever you want to say something. And I was leading to the fact that, for example, if we look at our friends at Sub46, Startup People of Sweden, who very much was one of the first hubs in the country, and really looking at it as Sweden, which is great when one looks in the Kalmar region. A lot of companies from here and across the Nordics, as you, if anyone knows, Jenny. And I also think, I don't even know, like, for example, you and Michele, if you, you met in the startup ecosystem, it doesn't even matter. As we say, we just all want to work together. It doesn't matter if it's at the Music House or at Sub46, we all work with everybody. But you're going into, your Jenny, as going into the independent part with your vast experience that you already had from Herrlin and other things you were doing, coming into the startup industry. That's really fun for people to hear, since you've really built yourself a name there.
Oh, okay. Well, my background is from Ericsson, and then I was laid off, which happens, and I didn't know what to do. And then Sara called and said, come and hang out with us at Sub46, which I did. And there I got the possibility to coach a few startups with the investor pitch. And apparently it went well, because then Sting called me and asked if I could coach their companies. And that was the beginning of my journey. That's where I met Michele, which was really, really nice. I don't think that anyone who meets Michele for the first time will ever forget the first meeting, because your idea and concept, it's just so mind-blowing. And I remember the first time I met you and I thought, this guy is crazy. This can't be possible to do. But then when you said you actually had a product, I was so blown away. And then, of course, you have just continued to impress me. And I was also really, really happy to be involved in the really, really early part of the Nordic music tech. Then I wouldn't say unfortunately, because I love them, but then I got twins, so it made it impossible for me to continue. And then I've just continued with my own company, and it's just loving to see how the Stockholm culture and the startup world is just bubbling. And as you said, Sara, that no one competes. You try to find different places where you can fit in. I've actually just started, together with some other people, I've just started my first accelerator program within health. Wow. And for me, that was really, really important that we found a unique space so that we don't compete with each other. Because I think that when we start to collaborate within different industries, I mean, I work with all industries, music, health, med, all of them. I think that's when we can find the combination. That's one of the success reasons why Sweden and Stockholm are producing so many unicorns. That's what I think. Absolutely.
And on that note, I thought we can jump into discussing. Now, you were mentioning health, and it makes one think immediately, of course, of the pandemic, and this now more than a year we've had that none of us ever thought we would have to live through in a lifetime. And full respect to all of us have it's been affected all of us on a personal note somewhere, apart from the illness itself and the pandemic globally. But on a positive note, one feels this global acceleration, not only within tech, but in understanding that we are all the same. For in a pandemic, there's no difference anywhere. And that's an amazing thing when it comes to a better world. But what I'm sure you agree with me that the acceleration of understanding, and when you are forced to use tech, such as we are sitting on Zoom today, now we of course we're already using these tools in the tech community, but look at the world, how it's gone. One can just not imagine that so much has happened in a year, which should have started to happen 20 years ago. But
and so many startups that have started due to the pandemic, finding needs that we didn't know that we were aware of earlier. I mean, just think about all the people that are single, that has been so lonely during this time. And there you can see startups popping up. How can you help people not be so lonely in times like this? And how do we need to take better care of each other? And how can we, look at music in a different way? So I think, the whole pandemic is very, very sad, but I think it's interesting that we have found new opportunities that we never thought about before, and that it's popping up startups.
I also think there's been a huge value placed on music during the pandemic, and before maybe there wasn't so much of a value, and that was why the industry was facing some difficult times. And I'm going to be really interested to see how, when we come out of this period where we can go back to live music and like really experience it as an experience, then what that boom's going to be like. Because I think it did get people through some really dark times, and then not being able to go and see live shows and do whatever you want, and really experience it with your friends and stuff. I think that there's going to be a huge boom in live after we all get out.
And also the parallel tech possibilities that will stay into the future, not be just for now. And hopefully more and more, as our friend Alphonse Karabuda would say, more and more value music, so that if we can, we should all be, of course, paying for this fantastic value, so that this amazing global industry doesn't go under completely. And I agree with you, Grace, that one really has more of an understanding and a feeling from everywhere that this is, of course, a value. Of course, we'll pay not only for a live experience, but for the experience of culture in general. And one can look at you, Michele, that's in the pandemic, you've pivoted twice, I would say, with my music to Elk Audio, and then now more recently with Aloha. Tell us about that.
Yeah, sorry. Well, for us, the pandemic, of course, there is the whole tragic side of it, and that's something that finally we start seeing the light, and we all wish and hope that everything is gonna go, I wouldn't say back to normal, but back to a new something new. On the other hand, in our case, as you said, we started with the guitar because me as an instrument maker, my dream was to build the guitar of the future. But then I realized, okay, to build the guitar of the future, I still remember when we had the first meeting with actually some of the investors are still current investors. They're still backing us. And it was in my basement, and I was telling, oh, look, imagine the guitar, you can connect, you can play with people, and just bring the musical instrument to the same world where we in the same way how we use this guy, And what happened is that back then there was there was actually not technology ready, but it was 5G will come and the internet will get better, and so we built the Sensus guitar. which then, but in order to build the Sensus guitar, we had to build the technology, and that's how Elk Audio S was built. What happened 1 year ago? Well, I mean, that was very interesting and challenging, of course. During once we launched Elk Audio S it's a B2B service. I mean, it's a B2B product. So it's an operating system for a hardware manufacturer to build a new generation of musical instrument. And then we started our collaboration with partner and customers, and now the first product will come to the market early next year. So we started the process, but then the pandemic came, and then we said, all right, well, I mean, many things got stuck, many things got worse, and then I still remember that it was March, I think, and I was badly sick that day. I mean, there was no corona, but there was, high fever and so on. I was keep thinking, I mean, either we reinvent the company, otherwise it's not going to be a company in 3 months. I mean, it's not, this is not just, also I had the experience, what was happening in Italy, and I mean, we need to do something. So I called the board, I said, look, we need to do something. And we actually started to work with Ericsson already 2.5 years back on envisioning, okay, how to bring the real-time experience from the musician online, so where a musician can play over distance. And we had that in our timeline, just that it was planned to be a little bit later on, and it was focusing on the 5G. But then we said, I mean, we have a technology, we can use it on a fiber, just a normal internet. And now it's time to either, we can just wait. That was 1 year ago. Just wait that this will and see what happens, or we take a strong position and then we reinvent ourselves, and then we give us a chance. I almost felt a bit crazy, to bring it. I called the board. Oh, we need to have a meeting. I say we need to change everything. We need to get all the guys and work on what became Aloha, and make sure that we have a product as soon as possible. Luckily, the board was, they still probably see a little bit of craziness in me on one side, but the board and the team, the co-founder were, well, that's the way to go. And then we restructured the company. And that's where we started to work on Aloha. And in October, we're actually launching a commercial product. So, of course, it took some time. We went to developing. We had quite intensive beta. But now I'm jamming with my brother in Italy every day. And it's just crazy because, something that it's not there. So that has been just to, my experience, what happened for us in the pandemic. On one side, yeah, it was a big challenge, but on the other side, there was also a possibility. That's the way how we approached it. And what I believe is that what the pandemic has pushed is not, okay, now everybody needs to play online, or now everybody, the need was already there. Why I need to get my car and travel 2 hours to do 1 hour lesson, or 1 hour, when I can just put my headphone and do it from home. So the pandemic just put it, okay, now it's really time to think about it, because there is a big digitalization that can happen in the music industry. And it's you need to come up, you tech world need to come up with solution to go to the 2.0 also in the music industry, because the music industry is 20 years back compared to behind to the
technology especially.
Yeah, and then that's basically what we're doing and what we're focusing every day.
And it's amazing with Aloha. You have to explain a little more about what it is, because the first thing when I say anything about Aloha to music industry professionals and specifically performers, it's the same thing we've always heard. How do you solve latency? But also just tell us what Aloha is as a tool, because it's amazing.
Well,
and you pivoted.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Aloha, it's not, I mean, for us, it's not really pivoting. It's more like a use case of our technology. I mean, we are a technology company. Elk Audio S is a full operating system designed for audio. And of course, there is a strong networking part involved. Since the beginning, we were thinking, okay, I mean, sooner or later, there will be time where we can do stuff not only when we sit in the same studio, but also when we are far away.
Yeah.
And so Aloha, it's not, I don't see it as we don't see it as a pivot, but just, okay, the first incarnation of a product based on our technology.
Yeah.
On the other end, I mean, the experience is pretty simple. Think about what we are doing now. Yes. I mean, we have a video chat, we can talk, we can chat. Musician, there's no solution today. I mean, because if we try to clap our hands together, we will never be on the beat. Simply because for the time for my audio to get to you and come back, it's huge. I mean, it could be 300, 500 milliseconds. You can go up to half second. That's why, you know, sometimes
you've sung happy birthday with families on Zoom everywhere. Know exactly what you're talking about, right? It doesn't matter if it's the most amazing singers in the world. It's really fun. And as you say, if we do on 3, 1, 2, 3, let's clap on 3, 1, 2, 3. Clap. It's incredible. And then when you sing happy birthday, it's like
yeah, exactly. And that's basically, if you take this real-time interaction from a musician, then you break the whole chain. I mean, from the student who wants to teach, who wants to do his lesson, to producer, to band who wants to play for fun, a major band who needs to do a rehearsal, and up to, I mean, there was the latest news we had is with the San Francisco Opera House. You know, it's one of the major opera houses in the world. And with the whole pandemic, they were completely stuck, and they had to, I mean, they needed and they wanted to prepare for the new season. And for the whole winter, they've been using Aloha for rehearsing, and they haven't seen each other for months. But now they are ready to go finally live. And what Aloha does is basically cutting the latency and bringing the, you know, giving this experience we are having, giving exactly, you know, this audio video experience, also bringing to the musician.
Which is amazing. And we were also saying, well, working with you all, and of course, with our friends at the Royal Opera in Sweden as well. Of course, the first go-to people would be you, and it's really exciting to have them testing this with you. I wanted to, on that note, before we wrap up, just hear also from Grace and Jenny and yourself, Michele, that how this, for example, tools such as Aloha that are amazing to be able to rehearse and collaborate in every industry, but specifically for an artist and a band, will be huge value for the future, and also so many music tech solutions we are seeing now, such as monetization. Our friends with monetizing your live experience and stream, our own physical digital stages, tools such as Void and Dramatic, and well, of course, Aloha. But on the monetization side, also amazing doors that went live last week. The team, Joel and so on, from Soundtrack Your Brand, Tidal and Beats, that we really feel, again, coming out of Sweden, an amazing startup. And Grace, and you can say a little about the pivot for going. We did the same with so many colleagues across not only Europe, but the world, with a music hackathon because of the pandemic. Also, that we either sit and wait it out, or what are we going to do?
Yeah, I think the pandemic has sort of brought a lot of things that were bubbling under the surface that maybe a very small part of the population could actually see would be the future. That's brought it to the surface. And I think that we saw that very early on last year. I think it was like around April when we started to plan with our pan-European partners.
It was actually March 16th, amazingly. I was
okay.
now, like, wow, that's early.
Yeah, and so we started to plan this pan-European hackathon, which actually turned into a global hackathon, and we had over 450 participants from, I think it was 39 different countries, if I remember correctly. It's been a while, but we got that up and running very, very quickly, and we've just had such tremendous success with like the companies that have come out of that, and they were all in the areas of access and monetization and these things that have become really important during the pandemic. And
Yeah.
I think going back to speaking about how behind the music industry is behind tech, that the pandemic really brought that to the forefront as well. And in terms of music tech, it's been a really exciting time, because for 5 years or something, like the four of us have been talking about how great music tech is, and then when you go to actually have a conversation with somebody who's not necessarily in the industry, they're like, so what is music tech, and like why would we need to like combine industries? Like, why would I need tech? And I'm like, oh wow, now I think it's like really obvious why we need tech, and that it can circumvent so many issues at a later stage. So I think it's really part of future-proofing the industry, and everybody seems to understand that now, which is really exciting and such a relief, because it's been so much work to try and get people to understand why they need it.
Why one should meet at the intersection of industries and tech. We heard also this week that Sweden has actually, as industries, as I think first, I don't know if it's first in the world, but it's amazing that it's gone from percentage-wise tipping point. It's now more than 50% of people working in tech, as one would be referring to as modern tech, which is amazing for the whole country to be at that level. And Jenny, when we wrap up let's all just say a little about what do you feel about the future, and what will things look like, well, post-pandemic. So many people are talking about going back to normal and back to live, for example, and but we of course look at it as forward to. What do you think the future will look like post-pandemic?
Actually, I would like to start to make a comment on what Grace was talking about, because I think it's also interesting to see how music, there are some musicians that are very, very comfortable in their specific area. And I think that also during the pandemic, they were sort of pushed into being more technical or more digital. And I will never ever forget my first concert that I listened to at Clubhouse. So it's I think that's also going to speed things up, that it's not only one part, but it's actually challenging everyone. And with that said, I think that, I mean, I don't think that we will ever go back to normal. I think that we're heading for a new normal. And I think that, as Grace also mentioned earlier, that music has become something else during the pandemic, really meaningful to a lot of people, or more meaningful to a lot of people. So I think that's going to play a huge part going forward. I don't think that we're going to have the big concerts any longer. I think that people are more aware about, the possibilities of being in big areas. What kind of diseases can we actually get? I think that it will be more small, exclusive. And I think that, with companies such as Aloha is really, really, I mean, Michele, you are so far in the future, and I just love it. I'm so amazed with what you're doing. And I think that you're really opening up the whole music industry for a totally new normal on how we can enjoy music without having the fear of being in huge public places. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to the future, especially in the music industry.
And also it's amazing because most of the world, I would hope everybody, apart from as you were saying, Michele, that jumping in to go to somewhere for a meeting. It's also cutting travel and orchestras and symphonies. And if the San Francisco Opera House can use a tool, it means you can rehearse something at its total wherever you are in the world, less stress on the environment, less travel. And I really think that's an amazing, a better
more fun. More
yes,
fun.
more fun. And then
the possibility to do it more often, which can, you know, have that personal twist, because otherwise you need to book that, you know, specific date when it's the concert. Here you can come together more often, and you can do that personal, you know, twist on that particular.
Absolutely, and we also discussed how much it democratizes, because think of a huge part of the world who can't afford to go to concerts or jump on a plane or see their favorites, and suddenly you can have access to things from every platform that is coming. And aside from the mentioned, and of course, Aloha, well, we were talking to one of our newest lo-fi concerts that have actually moved from Denmark to Sweden. And because they were launching exactly as the pandemic started, with in real life smaller events, to have this more unique experience of you can arrange it in your home and your rooftop, and that maybe it's more value when it's 50 people. So they had, of course, a total tragedy with standing still now, but we were just saying that you guys have the absolutely right product ready to go. They've sold out now. When Denmark is opening up before us, they are having concerts across the water. From today, actually, is the first one, and selling sold out like this, because people know it's a smaller crowd. So I agree with you, Jenny. Partly it's the knowing that the value is higher, but also appreciating going to something in a more intimate setting where you know you have lots of space and you don't want to get any diseases. I think it'll also mentally take a long time for people to enter an arena again.
And also with solutions like Aloha, you have the possibility to choose. You have the possibility to choose, because I think that one, you know, huge aspect is also the whole sustainability part and the environment, and taking these flights to live concerts. And here we have the possibility to take an active choice for our planet, but still be able to be joining this, you know, unique concert thanks to Aloha.
Exactly.
And, well, you know, going back to I mean, first of all, Jenny, thank you very much for all the words that you said for me. And I still remember very well our first pitch coach, which you said that basically I was, okay, you have a great concept, but it's totally messy. We need to have work on this. I think I still have the paper somewhere with your graphic. And also,
but, oh my God, what a work you did.
Yeah, oh, thanks. And that thanks to you.
Amazing work.
Amazing work.
We still look at you before and after Jenny.
and
Michele did all the work.
Oh, no, I mean, you did it.
We collaborate, right? That's what one does.
But
you work together.
Yeah, and no, going to what the future, and what I think that it's I really like also what Jenny you said about the possibility. I mean, today, if you want to play with someone, or if there is a layer complexity that many people just don't do it. And also, if you want to share something, you know, if I'm playing with a friend of mine and then I just want to put it online, I mean, before I put it online, I kind of think twice. I mean, it's really this, should we do it again? Should we make it a better production? Should we optimize the video? Then I think the perfect example is what has happened in camera, you know, in the photo camera. So before, I mean, apart for the analog, and then we went to digital, it was a big shift. You know, you get your Nikon or your portable camera, you have everything on your SD. Yeah, but how many people were sharing picture? More than people with the analog camera, but still, when you get it here, you get Instagram. There was no way to build up Instagram on experience for the user where, okay, get my, I mean, scaling Instagram. You know, getting my camera, get the SD, put it there. Oh, should I do some fix? Should I add some filter? Or maybe should I get another shot? But what you get when you have it with a one click away is that people doesn't care anymore of the quality. I mean, they are capturing the moment.
Yes.
And that's what we Aloha we're doing, and what we believe that there are a lot of musicians there that will just love, oh, let's do it, or let's go live on Facebook. Who cares if we are doing live or wrong? I mean, let's just do it. And that, but now there is no, I mean, now we are stuck with a, you know, big Nikon with the SD.
Yeah.
So what we are working is to, okay, how we can make this to one click away, where everybody from wherever they are, they can just plug and share.
That's amazing. It's amazing, and people out there, it's coming, and all out of Sweden, and where we all meet, right? The whole world meets here. And on that note, I wanted to say just super thank you for being here today. And anything you'd like to add, Grace, Jenny, and Michele, as we say bye-bye?
I would like to ask Grace, how do you see the new normal or the future?
I don't know.
You're coming from a different angle. I'm super curious.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult because I think that there's going to be lots of different normals depending on where you are in the world, and that we're all going to be accelerating at different rates. And so, I mean, like in a week, I'm going to a huge outdoor concert with like a reduced capacity, but like we're still able to have concerts here, whereas like it's not like that in a lot of countries. And I think we're going to find that it's going to take a while for us all to be on like a level playing field and sort of some sure footing about how we're going to move forward. But I think that technology is sort of going to bridge the gap between us all for a little while longer. So can't say like too far into the future, but I think that technology is definitely going to bridge that gap in the meantime.
Well, look at us now. You and I work on the same team, and I'm on the island of Gotland and you're on the island of Tasmania. One couldn't get further away. And also, I have to add that you are in Australia, because everyone will say, what? You were at a concert? Or you going to a concert?
Yeah.
And
nobody.
Before yesterday, you were even at a festival, I believe, in Melbourne, where the rest of us are so jealous.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
It was
to be in real?
It's actually kind of been like a spiritual experience. Like I've felt so starved of live music, and like it was just lovely. Also, it was a friend who, an Australian friend who I met in Sweden, who has also come back to Australia and was doing a gig. And so it was great that we had that connection like in person as well. So yeah, it was really, really good. And I hope that it continues. I think we're all like sort of on tenterhooks and like not trying to take anything for granted, and like everything can change so quickly. So to get these experiences in now is really special, I think.
And then one will have a future where one has all of these side by side, and of course increasing revenue to the creator, which we all want. So creators certainly can look forward to a healthier and wealthier music industry, I feel. And Grace, how did it feel to be outside at a concert? Well, was it very spread out? So were you feeling how were you feeling? How did it feel to have people around? I was basically from living in quarantine. Did you feel that you don't want people close, or you felt now it was outside? Maybe that feels more relaxed.
I mean, this one was indoors, but we were like sort of spread out at different tables and stuff. It was like a smaller venue, but it felt really good. And then next, in I think like a little over a week, I'll be going to Sydney Maya Music Bowl, which is in Melbourne, Australia. And they have like a huge area where they've built these lawn decks where like it's basically each deck holds 6 seats, but if you go alone, then you get all 6 seats to yourself. So they've sort of done it in a way that like you don't really have to come into contact with people that you don't know as much. I think Melbourne went into a huge lockdown a couple of months ago. Actually, they've been locked down twice, where they just can't leave their apartments at all. Otherwise, they'll get fined, and there's curfews and stuff, and it's been quite serious there, but they've managed to get it under control. And yeah, I mean, it feels a lot, I would say a lot different from Tasmania, because we're an island off an island. So we're kind of isolated. We don't really have to worry about that much. But then going to the mainland of Australia was a different experience, where we were wearing masks and stuff on public transport. And I was like a lot more careful when I went over there. But yeah, it was such a great experience to be back at live music. It really like made me feel alive again. So yeah.
And it's with Anne from Lo-Fi again saying that this with, as you were mentioning, that a smaller venue, it's easier access and easier. And again, as Jenny was onto as well, that not just during the pandemic, but in the future, we're really going to appreciate those more and more. Well, thank you again. And by the time this airs at the festival at the end of May, we hope that the amazing 17th of May, when Sweden will know whether we can do the same this summer. Sweden, listen and learn from Australia. There is a safe way of doing it. There is a safe way of doing it. We can be more than 8 people at the arenas. Thanks again. Michele, amazing. We can't wait to carry on following your journey. And Jenny, the same, and Grace, it's an honor to have you here, and it's a pleasure to work with all of you.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Live at Heart. Bye.